So we're going to do f, and then I'm going to do the g of x. I'm going to go ahead and put g of x on the inside. So that means I'm taking my f function, which is 3x minus 9, and the x that I'm going to put inside of there is g. So I'm going to put this inside of the parentheses. Now, when you're asked to do this on the quiz Friday, you only have to do one composition. But for today, I'm going to do both because I want you to see both. So the first thing you would have to do is eliminate your parentheses. You're going to distribute. And 3 times 1/3 is just 1. And then 3 times 3 is 9. Bring down the minus 9. 9 minus 9 is 0, so you're just left with x, which is a good sign. So, again, just for practice purposes, I'm going to do the other one because you have a choice that you can make. It doesn't matter which one you do. This time, I'm going to put f of x in g of x. So I'm going to take my g of x function, which is 1/3 x plus 3. And then inside of that, I'm going to put f of x, which would be 3x minus 9. Multiplying by 1/3 is the same as dividing by 3. So I'm really just dividing both of these by 3. That's the same as multiplying by 1/3. So that's going to give you x minus 3 plus 3, which is also x. All right, any questions about how to verify if they're inverses? I feel like we did this or something close to it. Nope, I know what we did. We did 3x and 1/3 x. Okay. All right, so again, what does that mean? That means that the domain, in order for them to be inverses, the domain of f is going to be the range of g. So the x and y's are flipping. That's what an inverse is. All right, so now let's finish out 5.2 with, okay, yeah, we'll do this one too. We'll verify this one. Let's go ahead and verify that these are also inverses. So I'm going to take my f function. I have a parentheses, and it's plus 3. And then inside of the parentheses, I'm going to put my g of x, which is just the square root of x minus 3. So what do you think is going to go away first inside of my parentheses? The 3's. Because you have a minus 3 and a plus 3. So they cancel. And that's going to leave you with just, so these are going to cancel out. So all I'm going to have left is the square root of x. And what happens when you square a square root? Cancels out. So you all see how we ended up with just x. All right, let's do the other one. Let's take our g function. And inside of the g function, I'm going to put my f function. Okay. So here, see how we have a parentheses that's being squared. So because it's all in a group being squared, the square is going to go away, and so will the square root. And that's going to leave me with just x plus 3, and then the minus 3 that's on the outside. And then at the end, again, we end off with just x. So again, it's your choice to pick. Now this one actually does have a red light. So what do you think my domain would be because I have this square root? The numbers have to be greater than or equal to what? 0. Why can't they be less than zeros? Numbers that are less than 0 are what? Negative. Can you take the square root of a negative? No. So for this one, my domain would be 0, bracket 0 to infinity. All right, so for the rest of class, we're just going to find the inverse. So we're not going to verify if they're inverses. We're just finding the inverse. See if you all remember how to do that. There's just 2 quick steps to find the inverse. All you're going to do is flip x and y and solve it for y. So we're going to find the inverse, and we're going to state the domain of the inverse. So this is the directions for the remaining questions for today. So if you do, you could just write that one time. Okay. So f of x is the same as y. And now to find the inverse, we're going to flip these two. Which instead of y equals x squared, it's going to be x equals y squared. And now we need to solve it for y. So it's 2 steps. What would be my first step to solve for y? Add the 7. So that would be x plus 7 equals y squared. And then how do we get rid of the square? Take the square root. Which is going to cancel out the square that's on my y. So the symbol for inverses, this is the symbol for inverse. So the inverse function of f of x, we put that little -1 there to show that it's the inverse, is the square root of x plus 7. That is my inverse. Do I have a red light? Is my domain going to be all real numbers? No, we got a square root. So I want you to take what's under the square root. That has to be greater than or equal to 0. Go ahead and solve it. And write your answer in interval notation. So x has to be greater than or equal to -7. So my domain would be bracket -7 to infinity. So this is my inverse function, and this would be my domain. Sorry, y'all. All right, let's look at example 7. Go ahead and copy this one down. So now these switch. And that gives me x equals 5 over y minus 1. All right, you can make this a proportion if that's helpful for you. But what you're doing is I'm going to, cross multiply. So that's going to give me x times y minus 1 equals 5. So remember, we're trying to solve it for y. So we're trying to move things away. So I would not distribute the x. I would just get rid of the x. Because again, I don't want the x there. So I'm not going to take the x and spread it around if I'm trying to get rid of it. So how do I get rid of the x if it's being multiplied by y minus 1? Divide it. So let's go ahead and divide both sides by x. And then last step, what do? Get rid of that minus 1. Add it. So I have y equals 5 over x, and then that plus 1 is not in the fraction, it's on the back. So that's my inverse. So my inverse is 5 over x plus 1. So that's my inverse. Do I have a red light? I do. So what do we know? What number can't I use? 0. If you set the denominator equal to 0, that means I can use all real numbers except for 0. So on my number line, I'm basically taking my domain and splitting it in half. So this is the first half, and this is my second half. One more time. Oh, that's if we were graphing it. Yeah, so we're not graphing, or we're just finding the inverse. So yeah, if we were trying to graph 5 over x plus 1, yes, that is a special case. So my domain is negative infinity to 0. Do I have any brackets in this one? No, because I can't use 0. So everything is a parentheses, and then 0 to infinity. And that is it. All right, what y'all think? Finding the inverse and verifying. That's what 5.2 is about. 5.2 is about finding the inverse and verifying that they're inverses. And one-to-one. Figuring out if it's one-to-one. Those are the 3 main lessons in this section. How do you know if it's one-to-one? What can't repeat for it to be one-to-one? X or Y, yep. And the graph will have to pass the vertical line test and the horizontal line test. All right, let's do another one. Go ahead, take a second. I want you to try to do this one on your own. Yep, we only got one more after this. Okay, most of you all did make it to the end, so let's go through it. So we have y equals 2x squared minus 1. I'm going to flip my x and y. All right, so in order to solve for y, the first thing I should do is add the 1. That's going to give me x plus 1 equals 2y squared. The next thing I should do is what? Divide by the 2. So now I have x plus 1 over 2 equals y squared. And then my last step is to take the square root. So that is going to give me that my inverse function is the square root of x plus 1 over 2. Now in college, this would not be acceptable though, because you're never supposed to have a square root in your denominator. So what this would really look like, you would have to do a little bit extra work. So I'm going to just go ahead. Let's go ahead and make this look right. Because when you have a square root, that means you really have a square root top and bottom. How do I get rid of a square root in the denominator? Who remembers? This is going all the way back to July. We would have to multiply by the square root. So you could leave it this way though. You don't have to keep going, but you would have the square root of 2 times the square root of x plus 1, and that's all over 2. That is the proper way to take it. Now, I mean, this is high school, but I would be wrong if I did not show you that, because I do have one of my students reached out to me who's taking pre-calc, well, an equivalent to pre-calc at IU. So I would be wrong if I did not tell you the correct way. So now let's talk about the domain. So you have x plus 1 over 2 has to be greater than or equal to 0. Multiply both sides by 2. So then that means that x plus 1 has to be greater than or equal to 0, because 0 times 2 is 0. Subtract the 1, x has to be greater than or equal to negative 1. So my domain is bracket negative 1 to infinity. Okay. So that is the end of 5.2. So now let's talk about homework 16.